So in my head, I see criticism as having two different dimensions. There is the objective dimension where there's a legit criticism against either you or something that you've made or someone you know or whatever it is. They have grievances with something that exists in the real world. And then there's the emotional dimension of criticism, because when somebody hurls criticism or they insult you or they're trolling you or whatever, that's an attack on your character or your ego or something that you care about. So you feel bad about it, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's useful to look at these two elements as completely separate, because how you process them is going to be very different. And I want to start with the emotional dimension, because I think this is where people have the most trouble dealing with criticism. It hurts, it stings. And like, how do you get over that? How do you keep that from demotivating you for the rest of the day? How do you keep it from, driving you to quit what you're doing because you feel so hurt by it? The first thing that I ask myself is, what are the intentions of the person who has just criticized me? Because you have all kinds of different critics. You have people who give you well-constructed, positive, meaningful criticism. You've got people who maybe mean well, but they don't know how to tactfully criticize you. So what they say comes across as blunt or mean. You might have haters who literally just like to hate things. You may have trolls who just get their kicks making other people angry or sad. There's all kinds of reasons. There's people who just insult other people to build themselves up. There's people who just insult people because they're mean and they want to watch the world burn. What are the intentions of the person who's saying this to you? And either they're going to be good, like they have your best interest in mind. What they're saying is coming from a place of wanting you to improve. It might be because they genuinely love you, like a friend. It might be because they just want to see something better and they don't actually care much about you, but they would like your work to be better. Either way, there's one group of people who they are criticizing you out of a good place. And then there's people who are just criticizing you because they want to hurt you, or because they're selfish, or because their intentions are otherwise not very noble. And I think in the moment, it's going to hurt no matter what. And there's really not much you can do about it other than just work on building a thicker hide, I guess, in the moment, like being able to rationalize an attack like that. But once that initial hurt is done, I think it's useful to tell yourself, like, if this criticism came from a person who did not have my best interest in mind, then emotionally, like, there is zero value in their message. It doesn't mean that they as a person have no value. And I think like it's kind of a duty for human beings to try to help each other when they realize that, somebody is operating from a place of hate or a place of selfishness or low self-esteem or whatever. But the message itself, decoupled from the person, is worthless. Like, it's literally a dog barking at you, or being at the zoo and like a monkey throwing poo at you. It's like of that level of value.
Oh, that was personal. That monkey was constructively criticizing you.
I'm sorry,
that
monkey.
day.
You gotta throw something else. This isn't constructive, right? So like, and this is something that I actively think about. This person's message is worth less than a dog barking at me. And I think it's actually worth less, because a dog doesn't really know why it's barking. It's just barking because it's an animal. But a person has the rational capability to decide that I'm going to act in a way that contributes something positive to the world. They have the ability to choose to do that. It may be harder for certain people to do that than others because of life circumstances, but everyone has the ability to choose the intention of what they say. And this person has chosen not to do that. So, cool. You don't have my best intentions in mind. You're just out to hurt me. Your messages, your communications to me, they are useless, and I'm going to disregard them. So that's like the emotional dimension. And then like, you have to realize that like that is different than the factual dimension, because even the most hateful troll might say something that you could use. Like, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, it's just that they saw a fact that was true, and they were like, they're not going to like that fact. I will use it to hurt them. But it doesn't mean it's not a fact.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they may be out to be like, gotcha. I feel good. Don't you feel so crappy? And yeah, like emotionally, I'm gonna be like, that was useless. Thank you for nothing. But actually, you may have pointed out something that I can improve. So thank you again.
Yeah.
And then if the person is coming from a place of good intentions, they actually do care about you, then you have to acknowledge that as well. And then from there, you can start to make decisions on, what was the tone of their message? is this actually constructive? A lot of criticism comes from a place of either ignorance, or it comes from a place of like their perspective is important, but it's not necessarily important enough for you to make a change. Good example, every video I do, I get at least one person saying, please talk slower. And I get at least one person saying, please speak faster, you speak too slow. I'm like, okay, this feedback isn't all that useful for me. Like one piece of it isn't going to influence me much, because I realize like I'm putting videos out to the world. So native English speakers who are in a huge hurry are watching. I've got people who can hear me just fine, understand anything at any rate of speech, but they would love to sit back and just intake it, and they have all the time in the world. And then there's somebody who may just barely speak English, and they're using my videos to learn English. Like all three of them have different but valid perspectives, but I can't change for all of them.
Yeah, that wouldn't make any sense. I mean, you could just, if you want them faster, just change it, make it like 1.5 times. You can do that. Problem solved.
Yeah, but
you can't solve it for everyone.
Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of times I've said like, oh, cool, here's an extension you can put on Chrome that plays my videos at 0.9 times speed. Like that's just a little bit slower for you. And I have taken, rate of speech feedback. I think when I first started, I talked way too fast. I think now I'm at a point where it's pretty good. So I'm not taking feedback like that too much into account anymore. But you have to ask yourself, like, does this feedback actually make sense? You have to go to your personal values, your personal taste, your own expertise, and consult that and kind of make a comparison there. And then I guess the one last thing that I want to say is sometimes people do have good intentions, but they just don't know how to communicate them tactfully.